Hello everybody, my name's Malika with Rainy Day Crafts, and today I'm going to show you how to make this DIY plaque with embedded letters and, in this case, oranges. So let's go ahead and get started. So I already have my resin pre-mixed. It is a 1-to-1 ratio in volume, and I'm just adding some white pigment. And this is going to be for the first layer, the bottom layer of the plaque. So I'm adding in the white pigment, and then you can see the glitter right there next to it, and I'll be adding one of those tiny little spoonfuls of each color. I have like a cute little gold and a white glitter. So now I'm just taking my mold, it's this big large square mold, and I'm just adding in the first layer of resin that I have. I don't believe I had enough in this clip, so I did go back and mix up some more. But yeah, so I'm just adding that in, and then you would just let that cure for 12 to 24 hours. But while you wait for that first layer to cure, you can go ahead and start making your letters for whatever plaque that you're going to be making. So I'm still using the 1-to-1 ratio resin, but right now I'm adding in, I think it's a spice prep dish, and I'm just using that as my my container to decide how much I'm going to use. I believe I used 2 spice dish fulls of resin and then hardener, and now I'm just mixing it together. And then from there you want to add in your colors. I did separate them because I was doing 2 projects at once. That's not all that it took, but for this one I'm adding in an orange paint, and I actually changed my mind on the color orange a couple of times. I believe about 3 times until I landed on the color that I wanted. So let's just go ahead and try again. But for right now, the first time around, I used carrot and acrylic paint. But then I ended up just using like a fluorescent orange. And I also added glitter in there as well. Yeah, so you just decide your color, go ahead and mix that in, and then pour it into your mold as well. So before you add anything to your mold, you're gonna want to decide what your saying is going to be. So for one of my sayings, it was "Orange, you glad you're alive," and so I counted out how many of each letter I would need, so then I would know how many molds I would need for that. And so I'm just using this candy. This is meant for chocolate. I got it from Hobby Lobby, but obviously since it's silicone, it can work with resin as well. So I'm putting resin into the colors, or not the colors, in the letters that I need, and then from there we'll just let everything cure, the first layer and the letters, and then we can move on. So this is after my first layer has been on cured. I have some dried mandarin skins. My apartment's really hot, so it ended up just drying on its own, and you can see that some of them is a little bit molded as well, but I kind of like that in the fact that it's contradicting what I'm saying in the, you know, the quote. So I place them wherever I wanted them to be. And so I'm taking UV resin. You don't have to use UV resin. You can use regular resin as well, or even like Mod Podge or anything like that. But I'm just pouring it into a separate container, which I abandoned later on because it takes too long. But I put it in a container, took a popsicle stick and started scooping it up, and then one by one I placed it onto the bottom of the oranges, so the part of the oranges that's already touching the cured layer of resin. And so I do that for each one of them, and that's just so that it's stuck onto that layer of resin, so then there would be less chance of an air bubble, which I still did get, but not as badly as it would have been without doing this step. Alright, after all of that is glued down with the UV resin, I didn't cure the UV resin at all. It's just so that it can hold it down. I'm pouring in another layer of my 1-to-1 epoxy resin. And so I'm just pouring that in very, very slowly. And from there, it should be a very, very thin layer. This layer is just to make sure that that your oranges can stick and everything. So after you pour in that first layer, make sure that it reaches all your corners and everything. And then you're really, really going to want to push down your orange slices or whatever you're putting in to your resin. You want to push it down, make sure that all of the air has been pushed out while the resin is, you know, still alive and gooey and ooey. Ooey gooey resin. And so you can see here I'm pushing down on them, and you can actually see some air bubbles come out to the surface. Now the one that I'm actually pushing down on is the bane of my existence, because I still had an air bubble for that one, the very first one that I was pushing down. But you're just going to want to make sure that everything is pushed down to the bottom. And you'll want to come back periodically to make sure that everything is still pushed down, because it will rise depending on what material you're using. But yeah, just keep on pushing, make sure all the air bubbles are coming out, and then go ahead and pop them as well. Alright, so after the letters are all cured, you're going to take them out. You'll probably want to rearrange them to make sure that you got all of your letters, because there's been plenty of times I've forgot like one U or one Y and all that other stuff, but just rearrange them. And then you'll also want to do this on your piece to see where you want the placing and the spacing and everything like that. And so once you figure out all of that, just go ahead and do what you did with the oranges, whatever glue substance you used. In my case, it was UV resin. And go ahead and place it on the back of the letters, and then glue it down to the piece. And after that, you'll add your layer of epoxy resin. And then you'll just have to come back periodically and make sure that the letters are still sticking to the spot that you want it to, because they can rise as well. So just come back periodically and make sure that they are sticking where they are supposed to be sticking, and push them down if you need to. But yeah, after that you'll add your layer of resin, pop all those air bubbles, and then wait for that one to cure, and then add your last one, and then you're done. It is completed. Okay. It's all hard and everything. It should be all cured. So let's go ahead. Take it out. So that's what the back looks like. Okay, so there is like an orangey tint to it, but I'm assuming that's because of the orange. So I do need to either file this down and dome it, or just see what doming it will do, just because it's a bit soup. But I'm also going to drill a little hole through here as well. Oh, it seemed like I had some Perlex powder in the mold, and it might have gotten on there. That might also be why it's giving off a little bit of an orange tint. Like, I did put orange glitter in it. You can see, sort of kind of see the specks of glitter in there a little bit. You know, just my tripod. But yeah, that's so exciting. I like the way that the oranges turned out, actually. It took me forever to get like a good color orange for the letters, and even then, like I'm not completely satisfied, but like I'm happy with it. But like I know I can, it's not exactly what I want, but I'm happy with it. And then the spacing for your is kind of weird. Because I was going to do you are, so then it'll be like you glad you are. So then the spacing would be equal, but I like the way orange you glad you're alive sounds better than orange you glad you are alive. I don't know. But then there's also like little black spots in here, and I don't know what that is because that always happens to me for some odd reason. I don't know if it's dust or what. Oh, and then it looks like there's a little red dot in there from something. And then this air bubble just like popped up. I went to bed. I pushed them all down, made sure there was no air bubbles. Went to bed. Big ass air bubble. Big old giant air bubble right there. But it's alright. I really like the way this turned out. I'll be hanging it up my wall this way. I gotta find some sturdy rope because as you can see, that's a thickum. A very thickum. Dummy thick, as we say, as us millennials say. But I'm really happy with this. Yeah. Alright, so thanks so much for watching. That's it for this video. I do have another plaque type of tutorial coming out, and that one I'm really happy about too, because it took me so long to get that one right. But yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments down below. What do you think of it? What would you have done differently? And what fruit would you like to embed? Right, but make sure you follow me on Instagram. If you like, leave a like and subscribe as well. But I hope that you guys have a wonderful day. All right. Bye.